This Saturday is UFC 315, Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight title. And this is going to be my full card predictions. We're going to discuss every single fight on the card. And while it's not the greatest pay-per-view ever, it has some notable fights. We have two title fights. Co-main event is Valentina Shevchenko defending her flyweight title against Manon Fiorot. We have José Aldo versus Aiemann Zahabi. We're going to break it all down this video. If you guys enjoy prediction videos, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and like the video. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's jump right into the card. First fight of the night. We have Brad Katona versus Bekzat Almakhan. Brad Katona's been around forever. Bekzat Almakhan has one fight in the UFC, been a bit inactive, came in on short notice against Umar Nurmagomedov, rocked him in the first 30 seconds, but then got out grappled for the majority of the fight. But he was, a really, really solid prospect outside the UFC. He has good striking, good power, and he actually has good grappling. I mean, even against Umar on short notice, he was getting in bad positions, but somehow finding ways to scramble out of those positions. At one point, I think it was in the second round, he was in full mount. He got full mounted and was able to scramble out. Eventually ended up back there, but still able to avoid the finish. Now, I'm not giving a participation trophy for going to decision with Umar Nurmagomedov, but I'm just saying on short notice, he showed some of his skills. And you have a Brad Katona who's 33 years old, coming off a loss against Jean Matsumoto. Close fight, competitive fight. I think it came down to the third round. Katona tried to implement his grappling. It really didn't work. Umar had to grapple Almakhan, or he thought that was the safest path to victory after getting clipped. Katona's going to have to wrestle, and I don't think he's getting Bekzat Almakhan down and controlling him for long periods of time. He couldn't do it against Jean Matsumoto. He loses a decision. Before that, he beat Jesse Butler. He took Jesse Butler to a decision. Before that, lost to Garrett Armfield. Not a horrible loss, but again, these aren't like the elite of the elite. Before that, beat Cody Gibson. I believe that was coming off the Ultimate Fighter. Okay, you got to win there. Brad Katona's a decision machine. If you won this, it would be via decision. I don't see him outstriking Bekzat Almakhan. I think Bekzat Almakhan is the far superior striker, has good kicks, good boxing, good power. I think Katona's going to have to shoot, and I don't think he's going to be successful. I don't think he's the level of grappler that Umar Nurmagomedov is. So I'm going to go Bekzat Almakhan to get it done. He has good power. He has good finishing ability. I'm going to pick him to finish Brad Katona. Brad Katona got busted up by Jean Matsumoto. Was bloodied up. Now, he did some damage of his own, but I'm just saying he kind of walks forward with sloppy, wild winging boxing shots and gets clipped. He's open for the counter. I think Almakhan is the far sharper striker. So I'm going to go Bekzat Almakhan. I'm going to say second round TKO. Next fight on the card, we have Daniel Santos versus Ji-Young Lee. I don't know. I really don't know in this one. I've kind of been going back and forth. Daniel Santos was supposed to fight Davy Grant last month, and he's primarily a bantamweight. And now he's moving up to featherweight and taking Ji-Young Lee. On Tapology, the majority, not that I really take this into account, but I was looking at this fight, I'm like, what is going on? The majority of people are picking Daniel Santos. 64% right now as I'm recording this. And Daniel Santos, I know he's fun. I know people kind of like to call him, oh, he's the Charles Oliveira Jr., but he's got a win over Johnny Munoz Jr. via decision. A win over John Castaneda. Okay, that's an okay win. A loss to Julio Arce. Before that, outside the UFC, hasn't been super active. Been out for 2 years. Been out for 2 years coming in this fight, damn near. Then you have Ji-Young Lee. He's coming off a loss against Hyder Emil, but that hasn't aged badly. And it was just Hyder Emil going out there, throwing crazy power shots, clipping him, and then not letting him off the hook. We really didn't get to see him implement his game plan in that fight. Before that, he beat Blake Builder. Hurt him with the striking in that fight. Was able to shuck off the takedown attempts. Did very well. Before that, he's fighting on road to the UFC. Almost forgot what it was called for a second. He's looking decent. I think Ji-Young Lee has good enough striking, and he's going to have a size advantage. I mean, you're going up randomly. I don't know what happened against Davy Grant. He pulled out due to medical issues. At least that's what it said. I don't know if it was a weight-related issue. Now he's going up to featherweight. Maybe it's because he doesn't want to cut weight anymore. But I don't know. I mean, I know the popular pick is going to be pick Lee, not pick Lee because he's coming off a loss. Santos is coming off 2 wins. But being out for 2 years and your best win is John Castaneda, I don't see him out grappling Lee. I don't see him taking him down and like dominating him on the ground. His striking's okay. He has good power, good finishing ability himself, but he gets a little bit too careless and reckless, and he's going up to 45. We see, guys go up to 45 like Christian Rodriguez, and it's just not the same. It's a whole different weight class. I know I'm stating the obvious. I'm going to pick Zhiyong Lee. I'm going to pick him to get it done over Daniel Santos. Probably via decision. I don't see Santos taking him down. I think Lee probably has a little bit crisper striking, can stay at range, good footwork. And, I don't see Santos taking him down. Santos could draw this out to a war and finish him via TKO. I could see that happening. I was thinking about picking that. But 29 years old, height and reach advantage, a significant reach advantage, 6-inch reach advantage, 3-inch height advantage, plus a weight advantage, plus the fact that Daniel Santos is coming off a 2-year layoff, plus Santos, I think was a bit overrated for a little bit. I'm going to go Zhiyong Lee via decision. I'm going to pick him to get it done. And maybe a close fight, 29-28 decision win for Lee. Next fight on the card, we have Marc-Andre Barriault versus Bruno Silva. Oh, man, some of these fights are hard to pick. I know it might seem easy, but you have Marc-Andre Barriault coming in on a 3-fight losing streak. You have Bruno Silva coming in on a 4-fight losing streak. Lost to Ismail Nouradiev in his last fight. Lost to Chris Weidman before that. Got brutally fouled multiple times. Eye poked, fingered nonstop by Chris Weidman. That bum. I'm glad he got scammed by GFL. Lost to Shara Bullet. Lost to Brendan Allen. His last win's 2 years ago against Brad Tavares, which actually isn't a bad win. Barriault lost against Dustin Stolfus, got KO'd there. Lost against Joe Pyfer. Lost against Chris Curtis. So it's losing streak versus losing streak. They're both roughly the same age, 35 years old. Bruno Silva just looks like he doesn't want to be in there anymore. His cardio hasn't looked good. His will to fight doesn't look good. Barriault's just getting caught by good guys. I mean, maybe not Dustin Stolfus, but Joe Pyfer, okay. Joe Pyfer put him down the doggy style position with a brutal KO overhand right. Barriault, we know, has great cardio, has decent volume, has good wrestling. And you look back, at some of these performances, again, it's not against the worst opposition. Joe Pyfer, Chris Curtis. Got a win over Eric Anders, who's a scrub. Julian Marquez is kind of a scrub. But Bruno Silva's mind doesn't seem to be in the game. He really doesn't. He has a lot of miles on him, too. He's 23-12. I'm going to go Barriault to get it done. I just think that Bruno Silva's showing up for checks. That's what he's shown me in his last couple fights. He's showing up for checks. He doesn't look like he has any urgency. He's fighting not to get finished rather than to actually win. He has finishing ability, and I get it. Barriault has been finished multiple times. Dustin Stolfus' loss isn't a great look. But I'm picking the power bar against Bruno Silva. I think he goes out there, probably walks him down, lands some combinations, probably eats a few shots. But I see Bruno Silva, again, just showing up for a paycheck and wilting to the pressure and cardio of Barriault. And that's really what I think will happen here. I just think the cardio of Barriault and the will to win of Barriault will get it done in this fight. And plus, he took a decent amount of time. It's been 6 months since he got KO'd against Dustin Stolfus. So he got clipped up there, got finished there, took some time off, not rushing back. I'm picking him to get it done via decision over Bruno Silva. Next fight on the card, the first regular prelim. We just finished up with the early prelims. We have Navajo Stirling versus Ivan Erslan. This is an easy pick, in my opinion. How can you not go Navajo Stirling? Ivan Erslan is going to war with Iwan Cutelaba in his last fight. I know it was a split decision loss. It was a competitive fight. But throughout the course of his last few fights, he's just trading wins and losses. Lost to Iwan Cutelaba. Beat Bogdan Ganiko in KSW. Lost in KSW. Won in KSW. Or not. Just trading wins and losses for his last few fights. Has decent striking. Has good power. Navajo Stirling kind of got hyped up. Oh, he trains at how am I forget? City Kickboxing. Oh, yeah, he's got elite level striking. He's a great kickboxer. And he is a good kickboxer. He's a long, lanky guy. But you're going to decision with Tukos Tokos, who's a straight up scrub, man. You were supposed to KO him. And he did take a little bit of damage in that fight. Not much. I could see Erslan landing a big power shot and putting Stirling away. I really could. But I just can't pick off a puncher's chance. I cannot pick off a puncher's chance. I rarely ever do. 27 years old, 33 for Erslan. I think Sterling's the far better kickboxer. Massive reach advantage, 7-inch reach advantage, 2-inch height advantage, youth advantage, 6-year youth advantage. I think Stirling gets it done, man. You're looking back at some of these fights. Okay, they're not the greatest. He got a KO on Dana White's Contender Series. But these are the guys that the UFC's kind of trying to build up, these undefeated guys coming off Dana White's Contender Series. We've seen that with Bo Nickel. I think they handpicked this fight for Stirling. Oh, Stirling, maybe he can help us in that Australian-New Zealand market and beat up Erslan, who just kind of comes forward and throws big power shots. Who's decent, don't get me wrong. I don't think there's going to be a lot of grappling mixed in. If there was, I think Erslan's probably going to try to get a takedown because he's going to get touched up on the feet. But longer, rangier fighter with better kickboxing skills, cleaner on the feet, more accurate. Doesn't have crazy KO power. 6-0, hasn't tasted defeat. Has finished quite a few guys, but again, it's not great opposition. He fights Tokos and goes to decision. I'm going to pick Navajo Stirling to get it done via decision. Next fight on the card, we have Modestas Bukauskasvs versus Aiemann Cutelaba. Look, I don't think Aiemann Cutelaba is that good. I really don't. It seems like he's been around forever. He's 19-10. He's 31 years old. He's 19-10. But he's on a 2-fight win streak now. I mean, that's crazy. He beat Ibo Aslan in his last fight. Beat Ivan Erslan in his last fight. Or fight before that via split decision, which we just talked about. I don't know why I just said it like that. He's beaten guys with similar names in the last 2 fights. But before that, lost to Felipe Lins. Got outstruck there. Beat Tanner Bozer. Lost to Kenny Nzechukwu. Modestas Bukauskasvs, second run in the UFC. He's the guy, if you remember, Khalil Roundtree stomped out his knee with an oblique kick, and he had to go get surgery, got cut from the organization, won a few fights at the Kentucky State Fair, and then came back. Cutelaba is just a wild maniac who's looking for big power shots, and he's crazy, and he has some grappling that he can mix in, but it's not great by any means. Bukauskasvs is a very calculated kickboxer with solid striking. He came back to the UFC. He's looked decent. The only loss is against Vitor Petrino, where he got clipped up. I know that's not a great win considering Petrino got submitted by Anthony Smith, the washed-up version of Anthony Smith. But outside of that, came back, beat Tyson Pedro, beat Zach Ponga, beat Marcin Prachnios, finished him, and beat Rafael Cerquiara. I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but 2 finishes in his last 2 fights. Cutelaba's chin is gone, in my opinion. I know he's won 2 fights, but man, does he have CTE. And Bukauskasvs isn't easy to take down and control at all. So I'm picking Bukauskasvs to get it done. I think Cutelaba probably swings wildly. Maybe has a moment where he hurts Bukauskasvs and chases after him. But I'm not trusting Cutelaba's fight IQ. I'm not trusting his chin. And he has a lot of miles on him as well. So I'm going to pick Bukauskasvs to get it done. It's just a matter of does he finish him. Bukauskasvs doesn't have the craziest power, but he's on a bit of a finishing run here. And I think he's the way better striker. So I'm going to pick him to finish Cutelaba. I'm going to pick him to finish like a sloppy gas. I mean, he's always sloppy, but I'm going to pick him to finish a sloppy, gassed out Aiemann Cutelaba in the 3rd round. I'm going to say Bukauskasvs gets it done. 3rd round TKO. Probably clips Cutelaba on the feet, follows him to the ground, gets in a good position, and just pounds away. Okay? Cutelaba will try to scramble and get out of the position, but Bukauskasvs will look for the finish heavily because he knows, okay, we only got 3 minutes left in the fight. We're in the 3rd round. Let me empty the gas tank. Cutelaba won't quit, okay? He won't fold up like Bo Nickel. But he will get finished. I'm picking Modestas Bukauskasvs via finish. Also, even if Modestas doesn't get the finish, I think he wins via decision pretty cleanly. Good footwork, good lateral movement, good striking. Cutelaba just comes forward and swings wildly like a madman. I'm picking Bukauskasvs to get it done. 3rd round TKO. Next fight on the card, we have Jessica Andrade versus Jasmine Jasudavicius, which I always butcher her last name. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right now because it's Jasmine Jasudavicius. I don't know if that's it or not. Either way, Andrade versus Jasmine. Look, I mean, I feel like I've picked against Jasmine in her last couple of fights. I think I picked Myra Bueno, so I can't remember for sure. I think I picked Lipsky. I think I might even pick Fatima Klein. And I've been wrong every single time. I'm not 100% sure on that, but at least 2 out of 3 of those I picked wrong. Jessica Andrade coming off a loss against Natalia Silva, who's also fighting on this card. Beat Marina Rodriguez, who just retired. Split decision, wasn't a great performance. KO'd Mackenzie Dern. People overrate that performance. Dern was actually doing good before then. Lost to Suarez, lost to Jan. Andrade was a former champion. Or she is a former champion. She was a former champion. She is a former champion. And she has good power. But she's getting older. Jasudavicius is really gritty, will walk you down, has good grappling, has good submission ability. She's on a 4-fight win streak. Her last loss is against Tracy Cortez, and that was 2 years ago. She beat Mayra Bueno Silva, Ariana Lipski, Fatima Klein, Priscilla Cachoeira. The only one that isn't good is Cachoeira, who's a straight-up scrub. I got to go Jasmine. I got to pick her in this fight. Andrade basically, again, has a puncher's chance. Said it before. I'm not really picking off puncher's chances. Andrade seems like she shows up for a paycheck. Now, I get it. She's been fighting really good opposition. But it's not crazy. Marina Rodriguez to a split decision. We've seen what Jillian Robertson just did to her. You know, having a competitive fight with Mackenzie Dern. I know everyone loves staring at her ass, but she's not that good, okay? She's not that good. You guys are too busy staring at her ass, okay? I'm going Jasmine to get it done. She's gritty. She has decent striking. It's not great. She has a massive reach advantage, 7-inch reach advantage, 6-inch height advantage. I think she's not going to take Andrade down and keep her there, but I think Jasmine can like clinch up, use some knees in the clinch, use her footwork, pepper her from the outside. And she's on a roll right now. She's on a roll. She's on a 4-fight win streak where Jessica has lost 3 out of her last 5. And her 2 good wins aren't really even that good of a win. So I see this fight being Andrade trying to walk her down, land a big shot, and just never finding it. And Jasmine wins a decision. Could see in it, you know, maybe Andrade gets around, rocks her, tags her with a big shot that steals a close round. But I'm picking Jasudavicius to get it done. Now that I butchered her name, probably said her name 8 different ways in this prediction. But I'm picking her to get it done via decision. I'll say like a 29-28 decision win for Jasmine Jasudavicius. Next fight on the card. We have Mike Malott versus Charles Radtke. I struggle with this pick. This was the last fight I looked at. I really struggle with this pick. It's hard for me to pick Mike Malott. He got exposed by Neil Magny, got finished by Neil Magny, got flattened out by Neil Magny and TKO'd in the 3rd round of a fight he was winning the majority of. How can I pick him after that? It was a shit performance. Now, he did come back and get a win against Trevin Giles. I think I picked him there. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about that Neil Magny loss. Neil Magny out of his prime, too. You have Charles Radtke coming off a winner against Matthew Semmelsberger. Crazy early stoppage, horrible stoppage. But he probably would have finished him anyway. Before that, lost to Carlos Prates. Got a win against Gilbert Urbina and a win over Mike Mathetha. Mike Mathetha, his name is not Blood Diamond. Oh, man. I think of Charles Radtke against Mike Mathetha. He looked like garbage. Cardio looked horrible. Striking didn't look great. He was getting tagged by Mike Mathetha. Resorted to clinching up quite a bit. So both of these have like 2 shit performances that I can think of that makes me not want to pick them. I know that doesn't sound as analytical as some of you guys may want. But look, I'm looking at Radtke. He looked good against Semmelsberger. Has a really nasty left hook. That's the best kind of weapon in his game is his left hook. It's super tight. Pause. And it has really solid power. But Mike Malott has good kickboxing. And he has the grappling in his back pocket. I think he's the better grappler than Charles Radtke. And so I look at that. I'm thinking, Mike Malott, are you really going to bum it out in Canada, getting real bummy around there? You really just going to show up and be a bum again in Canada like you did against Neil Magny? I think Magny probably beats Radtke, at least that version of Magny from like a year and a half ago. I'm going to go with Mike Malott. I still haven't even, I lock all my picks into Topology just so I can look back on them. I still haven't even locked it in yet. I'm probably going to go Mike Malott via decision. I just think the striking will be close enough. Mike Malott really only got finished by Neil Magny because he gassed out, which wasn't a good look. Radtke doesn't have unbelievable pressure or cardio. I do partially want to pick him because he's training with Belal. That's a great team there. But I'm not a believer in Radtke. I know he said some words on the mic, and some people are like, man, Charles Radtke's so based, bro. Look what he said, bro. He's based. Man, that doesn't make him a good fighter, okay? Just like Bryce Mitchell praising you-know-who and wanting to go fishing with him doesn't make him a good fighter. So I could really see this fight going either way. But I think Mike Malott's the more overall mixed martial artist, can mix in the grappling, will be good enough on the feet, has really solid kicks. And also against Prates, I know Prates is really solid. But man, Prates lit him up with that left hand, straight left, and then a step-in knee to the body. Had him looking like Bo Nickel. Can't forget about that. Dude dropped to the floor in agony and didn't even try to fight back. And the ref jumped in, but Prates did walk away. But either way, I think Malott has really good kicks, really good overall, really decent grappling, and just really, Charles Radtke has a good left hook. He's clinching for his life against Mike Mathetha. I'm going Mike Malott to get it done. I'm going to say decision, probably like a 30-27 decision win, but I could see it being close and competitive. And I don't think a Charles Radtke pick is a horrible pick in this fight, but I'm going Mike Malott via decision. Next fight on the card, we have Benoit Saint-Denis versus Kyle Prepolec, which was just added to the card. It's opening up the main card. It was supposed to be Benoit Saint-Denis versus Yoel Alvarez, which I was really looking forward to. I was really looking forward to that matchup, and I'm so sad that it's not happening. Look, I watched Kyle Prepolec. I watched his last fight because this fight, literally, I just saw it was happening right before I hit record on this video, maybe like 10 minutes before. I watched his last fight. He fought at the Kentucky State Fair against a guy who's been pro since 2002, a guy who was 25 and 29, okay? He beat him, he finished him, but it was a mildly competitive up until that point. He's stepping in on a week's notice against Benoit Saint-Denis. I know it's fun to trash Benoit Saint-Denis. Oh, man, he's a fraud. Oh, he lost to Renato Moicano. Oh, he lost to Dustin Poirier. I think the fraud claims on Benoit Saint-Denis is a little bit extreme. I do get it because, you know, he went out there against Dustin Poirier, gets finished. He goes out there against Renato Moicano, gets finished. I know this isn't a popular take. I know people call me crazy. I genuinely believe Benoit Saint-Denis could have came back against Moicano. He won the second round, but he tried so hard to get off bottom in the first round that he took unbelievable damage that swelled up that eye, and I think it really cost him the fight. I think he could have come back. I don't think Renato Moicano is that good. So with that thought process in my back pocket, maybe I'm wrong, and with Kyle Prepolec coming in on short notice, a week's notice, fighting bums who were 25 and 29. Guy before that, 11 and 6. Hasn't been super active. Hasn't fought in almost a year at this point. It's been 10 months. Primarily a striker. Looked pretty slow. I mean, his striking didn't look horrible. It didn't look like he doesn't train at all. But I think Benoit Saint-Denis coming in training camp for Yoel Alvarez. Nasty body kicks. Good power. You look back at his wins. I know they aren't the greatest wins, but Matt Frevola brutally head kick KO'd him. Fight before that, brutalized Thiago Moises. Fight before that, finished Ismael Bonfim. Benoit Saint-Denis can do it all. He has good grappling. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good power. He has good finishing ability. I understand he's gotten finished in his last two fights. One via doctor stoppage. Well, what's to tell me Kyle Prepolec's going to win this fight? I have no evidence to base it on. Like, he's fighting literal scrubs. He's 35 years old. He's 6 years older. He's taken in a week's notice. I do respect him, and we have seen guys come in. Bruno Ferreira against Gregory Rodriguez. Came in on short notice, KO'd him. We had Nur Sultan Ruzaboyev come in and then do the same thing to Bruno Ferreira as well. So, and then they celebrated like crazy with his coach, okay? Okay? I don't think it's happening with Kyle Prepolec. I think this is his opportunity to get into the UFC. He'll get a second opportunity after he loses to Benoit Saint-Denis. He's Canadian, so they just plucked him off the street probably. He's fighting at the Kentucky State Fair. He's going to jump at this opportunity at 35 years old. He's been around for a while. I'm going Benoit Saint-Denis to get it done. I think it's going to be like a Jim Miller, Jesse Butler type win. He's going to go out there, smash him on the feet, maybe mix in the grappling, find a finish on the ground. I'm going to go Benoit Saint-Denis, first round KO. Hurts him badly on the feet, then finishes him on the ground. Next fight on the card, we have former champion Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. I'm going to be honest. Maybe you guys are going to call me crazy with some of these narratives I have here, or some of these takes I have here. Alexa Grasso's overrated. She's overrated. She lost to Valentina Shevchenko. Couldn't defend a takedown to save her life. Before that, she gets a draw, split draw with Shevchenko. I thought she lost that fight. Before that, got a win in a fight. She was getting dominated against Valentina Shevchenko and somehow pulled out the rear naked choke. So you're talking 2.5 years of fights where she just wasn't good enough, even though she somehow was the champion. It doesn't make any sense. Her last wins before Shevchenko, which is a great win, don't get me wrong, that come from behind rear naked choke was insane. Viviane Araújo. Okay, it's decent. Joanne Wood. Ew. Where's Grasso particularly great at? She's gritty. She has some decent boxing. But where's she great at? She can't stop a takedown to save her life. She's not particularly fast. She's kind of plotty. Then you have Natalia Silva on a crazy winning streak. Beat Jessica Andrade in the last fight. Before that, beat Viviane Araújo, which isn't great again. Beat Andrea Lee. Beat Victoria Leonardo. Beat Teresa Bleda with a spinning back kick KO. Okay? In women's MMA. These aren't the greatest wins. But to be honest, I'm not even sure Grasso could beat Andrade. I know that sounds crazy. She probably would. Natalia Silva's fighting in the big cage. She's not fighting at the apex. She has excellent footwork. She's hard to track down. Grasso's going to be swinging at air. I'm picking Natalia Silva to get it done here. I just see Grasso plotting forward, getting her legs chewed up. I think Silva could even mix in the grappling. Grasso has the jiu-jitsu advantage, but I think Natalia Silva is just far more athletic and strong, would be able to hold her down. I don't think she's going to. Again, I think it's just going to be Grasso plotting forward, getting her legs kicked, getting her body kicked, getting touched up on the feet, and Silva kind of pointing her way to a decision. I don't see her putting away Grasso. Grasso is not easy to put away by any means, but Natalia Silva does have some decent finishing ability, even though she hasn't really showed it in her last few fights. So I don't think she's going to get it against the level of Grasso, who is pretty durable, gritty, has decent boxing. But I see Silva chopping at the legs, landing good leg kicks, using her footwork, skirting around the outside, picking Grasso apart as she swings at air. Maybe Grasso will have a moment or two, but I can't imagine Grasso winning this fight. Maybe I'm dead wrong. Maybe Natalia Silva is going to look like a scrub. I've been high on Natalia Silva for a while. There's certain, especially women's prospects that come in and you're like, oh my God, she's actually good. Natalia Silva is one of those prospects. So I think Grasso, unfortunately, she had her run at the top. It lasted way longer than it should have after basically a fluke win over Shevchenko. And I think Natalia Silva is now going to stake her claim as a title contender in the flyweight division, which honestly, a win over Grasso, they're probably going to put Silva in the next flyweight title fight, especially if Shevchenko wins against Manon Fiorot. So I'm picking Natalia Silva to get it done via decision over Alexa Grasso. Next fight up the card, we have José Aldo versus Aiemann Zahabi. The UFC hates José Aldo. I did a stream maybe like 4 or 5, 6 months ago with Kevin Iole and John Morgan, and they were talking about José Aldo versus this guy and that guy. I said, no, it's not going to happen. José Aldo is hated by the UFC. I don't know the exact reason. It has something to do with he fought out his contract, but then he re-signed, but maybe he played hardball and the UFC's not happy about it, but they didn't want Aldo to go anywhere else because he was still rather good. They didn't want to see him in another organization with his name value and skill level. And they just booked him against the shittiest possible opponents. And what I mean by that is not skill-wise, but you look at his fights since he returned. Jonathan Martinez, where he got a win. Very, very good bantamweight. And then Mario Batista, where he lost a split decision, which he did lose. A lot of people are like, oh, Mario Batista lost, man. I hate Mario Batista. Mario Batista was landing good shots and pressuring Aldo and then looked like shit in the third round clinching up, but nonetheless, he won. So Aldo's getting like the toughest no-name matchups possible, and this is another example against Aiemann Zahabi at UFC 315. Aldo's coming off that loss against Mario Batista, who I rate very highly. I think Mario Batista would beat Sean O'Malley tomorrow. Okay? I think Mario Batista has a chance against Merab Dvalishvili. That's how good I think Mario Batista is. I know it's not a popular opinion. You have Aiemann Zahabi on a bit of a streak. He's beating a washed-up Pedro Munoz. That's not a horrible win. Pedro's still decent. Before that, beat Javid Basharat, was undefeated at the time. Decent win there. Before that, KO'd Richie Lang. If you watch these two guys fight, like I watched a fight of each one of these guys earlier today before I made this video, I just don't think it's close. Zahabi's too plotty and slow. Aldo's still fast. For 38 years old, Aldo is still very, very fast. I know Aldo doesn't particularly use a lot of leg kicks nowadays. He used to chop guys' legs like crazy. But Zahabi, if he does decide to do it against Zahabi, Zahabi's heavy on that lead leg. Zahabi's just a kickboxer, slow and plotty. It's not like super athletic. He has decent power. He showed it against Richie Lang, KO'd him. I don't think he's beaten Aldo. I still think Aldo, even though he's clearly not in his prime anymore, I still think Aldo is a very, very good fighter. It's crazy. A lot of people thought when Aldo was champion at featherweight, if you're a newer fan, you might not even know this. Aldo was a featherweight champion at one point. A lot of people were like, man, can't wait to see Aldo go up to lightweight. Aldo at lightweight, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane. And then when he said he's going down to bantamweight, everyone was like, oh, he's going to die going to bantamweight. He's too big. He's been at bantamweight for a while. Merab wasn't even able to really take him down. Just clinched up with him. That's when people really started to hate on Merab. And Zahabi is going to strike with Aldo. Aldo's faster. Aldo has better technique. Aldo has a more variety of attacks. Whereas Zahabi has some decent kicks, but he's just slow. He's 37 years old as well, and he looks at 37 years old. I'm picking José Aldo to get it done. I think maybe we see vintage José Aldo at UFC 315. I'm going to pick him to get it done. Second round TKO. I think he's far too fast for Aiemann Zahabi. He goes out there. Zahabi's kind of trying to land his little pot shots. Aldo starts chewing up the leg, maybe bringing back some leg kicks, landing some good shots. Aldo's boxing is crazy good. especially MMA boxing. I know a lot of people get that confused. Boxing versus MMA boxing. Aldo's MMA boxing is incredible, and I think he's too fast for Aiemann Zahabi. Maybe this will be the day, everybody's day comes where they fall off if they stick around for too long. Maybe this is the day Zahabi clips him, puts him down, and puts him away. I don't see it happening. Watching them back-to-back, watching their fights back-to-back, it's like night and day. Aldo's far faster, and Zahabi doesn't have that clinching grappling threat to mix in there to get Aldo to be a little bit hesitant on the feet. It's going to be a striking battle. I'm going José Aldo, second round TKO. Catches him with a good shot and just peppers him with good combinations and eventually melts him against the fence mid-second round. José Aldo gets it done, second round TKO. Next fight on the card, we have the co-main event. For the women's flyweight title, we have Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot. Listen, guys, I'm done changing my picks, boys. Every time my gut instinct, I would say 95% of the time it ends up being right. And I've been picking Manon Fiorot over Valentina Shevchenko in a hypothetical matchup for over a year now. I just think Shevchenko, she's just plateaued. If anything, regressed. Her striking isn't as good as it once was. I don't think Grasso's that good. And how do you not beat her in the first two fights? I understand she kind of got robbed in the second fight, but still, you're getting finished by Grasso 2 fights ago or 3 fights ago. Then you go to a draw with her, a split draw where you should have won, but still you made it too competitive. And then you finally beat her by just out-grappling her every single round pretty much. Manon Fiorot, really good kickboxer. Really strong, really good in the clinch, is hard to take down. I don't think Shevchenko's taking her down. And Fiorot has really solid striking as well, and Shevchenko's striking looks like it has fallen off a cliff for the last few years. And I just think it's the storm is too perfect. Shevchenko loses the belt in dramatic fashion to Grasso. She comes back, she fights to a split draw. They give her a trilogy. She finally wins the title back only to lose it again. I'm telling you, it's what's going to happen. Fiorot coming off a win over Erin Blanchfield. Erin Blanchfield, very good grappler. I know Shevchenko, a little bit better technique, has better judo, can close the distance better because she has better striking. Erin Blanchfield's a very good grappler. Struggle with Manon Fiorot in the clinch because Manon Fiorot's very strong. Before that, beat Rose Namajunas, a decent striker. I know Rose is kind of falling off a cliff too, but a decent win there. It's not like she's fighting nothing but bums. Caitlin Sermonara, decent fighter there. I think Shevchenko at 37 years old, she's been around forever. She's been fighting at the highest level forever. And I tell you guys all the time, appreciate them when they're in their prime. I don't think Shevchenko's in her prime anymore. She's training and not drinking and has those crusty-ass lips. You want me to pick crusty lips over Manon Fiorot? I think Shevchenko's going to try to grapple. She's going to try to mix in the clinch work. And I think Fiorot's going to be too strong for her. And I think Fiorot's going to keep the distance, side kicks to the body. I think it's going to be a good striking match. I think it's going to be mildly competitive, but I think Manon Fiorot wins this fight. I just don't see... You guys, I want to know in the comments, has Shevchenko's striking regressed? She seems super flat-footed nowadays. She seems kind of like she's just... I just don't see her like what she used to be. If you remember her in her prime, it's just not the same. And maybe that's just her game plan against Grasso, and we'll see something different against Fiorot. But the only way I see Shevchenko winning this fight, she has to outstrike her. And I don't think she is. Fiorot's got good side kicks to the body. She actually has decent power. She has good hands. She has good footwork. And she's not getting out-grappled. I would be shocked if Shevchenko out-grappled Fiorot. So I think it'll be a close, competitive fight where Fiorot wins. I'm going to say a 48-47 decision win for Manon Fiorot. Maybe a 49-46. And maybe Shevchenko hangs it up because what are we going to give her, another immediate rematch? If she loses decisively, we're going to give her another immediate rematch. I'm picking Manon Fiorot to get it done. I'll say 48-47 decision victory. Next fight on the card, the main event. Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. You guys are going to be shocked with this pick. You guys are going to be shocked with this pick. I am officially switching my pick, okay? You guys know I've had Belal Muhammad by decision for a long time. And I know I talked about in the co-main event, I'm not ever switching my pick again. I'm not picking Belal Muhammad via decision anymore. I'm just not. I'm picking Belal Muhammad via 4th round TKO over Jack Della Maddalena. I'm picking him to get the finish. I'm watching back tape, and I actually think this fight's a little bit different than a lot of people are going to break down. Jack Della Maddalena is not the striker everyone acts like he is. He has good power, don't get me wrong. He has good boxing, don't get me wrong. But people act like he's oh my God, he's such an amazing boxer. It's incredible. You look back at his most recent fights, okay? Gilbert Burns was outstriking him and out-grappling him before he eventually landed a knee and got the finish. Don't get me wrong. Again, Maddalena had his moments. But second round, Gilbert Burns is landing little pot shots, not even throwing combinations. Good standing elbow that busted up Jack a little bit. Good right hand that landed on Jack. And Jack Della Maddalena, you watch back that fight and you listen to the commentary, they're like glazing his boxing. A lot of the shots were just hitting the guard of Gilbert Burns because he was worried about the takedown. You look at the fight before that. He fought Kevin Holland to a split decision. Could have arguably went to Kevin Holland. You look at the fight before that. Belal Muhammad, he won via split decision. Could have lost that fight. Could have easily lost that fight, and Belal Muhammad took it on short notice and was gassed out. Now, granted, Jack Della Maddalena took it on short notice, but he had a full camp. Belal Muhammad was hanging in there in the striking with him until the third round when he was completely gassed. He was taking Jack Della Maddalena down multiple times. Now, I know some of those times JDM was looking for a guillotine and would go to his back, particularly, I believe, in the second round. He started to land, and then boom, he looked for a guillotine where he wasn't going to get taken down. But some of those other guillotine attempts, he had already realized he was going to get taken down and just went for the guillotine. And people are like, oh man, he still has great takedown defense. Now, JDM has underrated scrambles, underrated jiu-jitsu, but he's not beating Belal. Belal's coming off that performance against Leon Edwards where everybody doubted him. Everyone said, man, the first fight where he got eye poked. One round in, basically. He went out there against Leon Edwards, beat the dog shit out of him on the feet, picked him up, dumped him on his bald spot. He had the moment in the fifth round where he got reversed and elbowed. People over-dramatize. Oh, he was almost finished. He ate 2 elbows. He was almost finished. Makes no sense. Belal's striking is improving. His boxing is really crisp. And Jack's is overrated. And Jack's going to be worried about the takedown. Belal can take him down at will. Belal Muhammad came out 10 seconds, took JDM down. Now, I do understand the narrative, okay? You look at Belal, he doesn't have the best jiu-jitsu. That's kind of his weakness in his game, his submission threat and his jiu-jitsu. He made some mistakes against Leon Edwards. Third round, he lost because he accidentally slipped up and gave up his back and got body triangled for the rest of the round. It happened for like the last 10 seconds of the fourth round as well, and then happened in the fifth round for like the last 30 seconds. It does happen, and JDM does have really good jiu-jitsu, which I think a lot of people are kind of breaking this down a little bit different, where Belal has this crazy grappling advantage, which he does have a wrestling advantage. I think JDM actually has the better jiu-jitsu, and he doesn't accept the position. Also, I don't think JDM is going to mentally quit like Leon Edwards did after he got dumped on his bald spot. I just believe in this fight, I look back at Jack Della Maddalena. He's getting tired against Belal Muhammad. I know he still won the fight. Against Kevin Holland, low output, didn't look particularly great in that fight. Striking wasn't incredible against Kevin Holland. Then against Gilbert Burns, was starting to get tired. I know he got the finish. I think it gets into those championship rounds. I think Belal's really going to put it on him. And I really do believe Belal can beat JDM on the feet. I know it sounds crazy, boys. But you have to realize, and some people try to make these distinctions like, well, it's because of the threat of it's MMA. Of course, Belal's success with the striking, particularly in this matchup, is going to be linked to the threat of the grappling. But Belal's hands are improving. He's training with Ignacio Bahamondes, one of the best strikers. Belal, every single fight out, looks improved on the feet. He jokes about the Canelo hands. I think he's going to be landing on Jack Della. I mean, look what he did to Leon Edwards. Rocked him with an uppercut in the first round. If Gilbert Burns is landing, a washed-up Gilbert Burns, Belal outstruck him off the couch. Belal has really good body kicks, really good head kicks. Nobody gives him credit for. Look what he did to Sean Brady. People are hyping up Sean Brady now because he just went out there and got a win over Leon Edwards that Belal already mentally broke. Not that Sean Brady shouldn't get credit for that. It's a good win over a former champion where he dominated him and finished him. But Belal bullied him, walked him down, and busted him up as Sean Brady started to tire out. I think in this fight, Jack Della uses a lot of his energy and his athletic ability to scramble out of bad positions. And where this is a 5-round fight, I think he's going to get tired because Belal is going to be taking him down at will. I think Belal will struggle early, keeping him down, but I don't think it'll matter because it'll freeze JDM's hands. And Belal has underrated hands where he'll be landing good shots on the feet. And I honestly think Belal's going to be peppering him on the feet, mixing in a takedown. Peppering him on the feet, mixing in a takedown. Getting a minute of control, 30 seconds of control. And as the fight goes on, and the power of JDM's kind of sapped, Belal's really going to start to roll downhill. Really going to start to bully JDM. And come that fourth round, late fourth round, you're going to see Belal walking down JDM like he walked down Sean Brady. He's going to be busting him up. He's going to be hurting him. And eventually he's going to get a TKO. I really do believe this is going to happen. I don't think, JDM has to catch him in the first 2 rounds to win this fight. I'm not picking him off a puncher's chance. And again, you look at the resume, I'm not trying to hate on JDM. Okay, Randy Brown, solid win. Against split decision against short notice Belal Hafez, where you're getting taken down at will. Fight IQ looked horrible. Kevin Holland is a bum. Split decision, you arguably could have lost that. And then the Gilbert Burns is a come-from-behind win, which is a decent win. Belal dominated Burns for 5 rounds off the couch in the striking department. And Jack's boxing didn't even look that great. I think Belal's improvements on the feet, combined with the threat of the grappling, again, this is MMA, everything's mixed together, I think it's going to get Belal a TKO win late in this fight. I really do see JDM getting tired. I do see JDM getting walked down by Belal. Belal, very good fight IQ. JDM, not great fight IQ. Now, I do think Belal has to be extra careful early, especially on some of the takedowns. We saw what happened with Gilbert Burns, got caught with that knee, shooting a lazy takedown. And that is a hole in Belal's game. We saw it against Leon Edwards where he made mistakes in the grappling because he knew he was up. And he got a little bit overconfident. Got lulled into a false sense of security. He can't do that against Jack Della because Jack Della does have good power. But people are acting like JDM's going out there and putting people out with one shot KO every single fight. You know, Belal Hafez is striking with him. Landing good shots. Belal's eating them. Belal hasn't been finished since like 2017. It's been a long time. I think it's 2017 against Vicente Luque. I'm not looking at it right now. You're telling me all of a sudden Maddalena is going to land one good shot and finish Belal? I don't think it's going to happen. And as the fight goes on, it favors Belal Muhammad with the more well-rounded skill set. Now, again, I do think JDM has really good jiu-jitsu. I do think JDM muscles his way out of a lot of positions, though, and I think that's going to wear him down, and I think it's going to cost him later in the fight. I'm picking Belal Muhammad, 4th round TKO, late 4th round TKO. Could maybe seeing a 5th round TKO as well. Belal would have whooped Shavkat in December had he made it to the fight. Didn't get that bone infection. I think he would have whooped Shavkat. I would have picked him against Shavkat. The only thing I don't like how the majority of fans are picking Belal to win this fight. That does have me a little bit shaken here because JDM does have that power, okay? It's not crazy. I think it's overrated a bit. And he does mix a lot to the body as well. That's another thing I want to compliment. JDM has really good body shots. And I could see him mixing them in against Belal. I mean, mixes them in every single fight, but to try to help negate the threat of the takedown. You're going to see knees from JDM as well as hard body shots because it helps negate the shots of Belal. But I think JDM is going to be a little bit too worried about the grappling. I think he's going to try to pace himself early in the 1st and 2nd round, but he's going to need that 1st round energy to get a win here. And I think Belal's improving every single fight. I think Belal gets it done. Better fight IQ, better overall mixed martial artist. It could end up getting a little bit hairy, but I think Belal will be able to eat one shot from JDM and survive. I'm picking Belal via 4th round TKO, late 4th round TKO. Him walking down a gassed JDM who's exploded out of all these positions on the ground to scramble back to the feet. All the crowd's going to be going wild. The commentary team's going to be like, oh my God, Belal's in trouble now. And Belal's going to be landing on the feet, and people are going to kind of underrate what Belal actually does on the feet like they did against Leon Edwards as well. I'm picking Belal to get it done. Remember the name. He beats JDM. If he doesn't get the finish, I think he'll win a very clear-cut decision win. Maybe JDM gets a round off, like a couple really good boxing shots, and maybe Belal gets a takedown and gets a little bit of control and doesn't do a whole lot of damage with it. But that would have to be an early round. The last thing, I'll end the video on this. And if you guys enjoyed these videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. The one thing I am worried about, and where I think JDM can win this fight, is in those transitional moments. If Belal kind of makes a mistake on the ground with his control, and then JDM's kind of scrambling up, and then Belal goes to kind of reinitiate control like Gilbert Burns did, that's where JDM can find a filthy uppercut or a nasty knee up the middle and hurt Belal. and maybe get the finish there. But I think JDM has to get the finish in the first 2 rounds. Otherwise, it's going to be all downhill for Belal Muhammad. I trust his striking. I trust his grappling. I trust his fight IQ. I'm picking Belal to get it done via 4th round TKO. And that's it, guys. That's UFC 315 full card predictions. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.